a Dr. Seuss book. Awesome. That's because Dr. Seuss books are a foundation for reading today, which is very important to me because I'm going to be an elementary school teacher, and I can't wait to teach reading. And additionally to the teaching aspect, I'm a huge Dr. Seuss fan. My room is plastered in Dr. Seuss memorabilia. I have a problem. So today, I will be telling you about Dr. Seuss's life, and also a couple of interesting facts about my 3 favorite Dr. Seuss books, The Cat in the Hat, The Lorax, and Horton Hears a Who. And then I'll end with his impact on our culture. So his real name is Theodore Seuss Geisel. And this quote from the book Theodore Seuss Geisel, I think really sums up his career pretty well. In the course of his 65-year career, Theodore Seuss Geisel was an advertisement agency artist, animator, producer and director of animated cartoons, caricaturist, playwright, short story writer, documentary filmmaker, lyricist, teacher, political cartoonist, and editor and author of children's books. What can't this guy do? So he was born on March 2nd in 1901 in Springfield, Massachusetts. And according to The Cat in the Hat, The Complexity of a Simple Tale, his birthday now is celebrated as Read Across America Day, which is actually coming up on Thursday. And I know I celebrated it in school. I'm sure a lot of you did too. His college days were very interesting. He wrote for the humor magazine called The Dartmouth Jack-O-Lantern at Dartmouth College, and then he ran into a little trouble with the law. So, according to Dr. Seuss and PM, a run-in with the college authorities over bootleg liquor forced him to publish his cartoons under an alias, so he chose his middle name Seuss. After he graduated from college, he went on to be a cartoonist for newspapers and magazines, and then during the Great Depression, he did newspaper ads. Then World War II happened, and during World War II, he published over 400 political cartoons. Most of his political cartoons denounced the Axis powers and also promoted the American war efforts. And during the later half of the war, he was a member, well actually he was the commander, of the 1st Motion Picture Unit, where according to popular culture and introductory text, he made newsreels to show to the Army and the Navy biweekly. After the war, he moved to La Jolla, California, where he started his career writing children's books. His first book was And to Think I Saw It on Mulberry Street, and he was rejected by 43 publishers. It's a real stroke of luck he got published. He was about to throw the manuscript out, and he ran into his friend from Dartmouth who just got hired at a publishing company. He was like, oh, hey, I'll publish this thing. And that was the start of his children's career, or his children's book career. And as time went on, he also published short stories and illustrations in the Red Book magazine, and some of those later became books. A great example of one of those stories in the magazine that became a book is The Sneetches. And then, to date, his books have sold over 600 million copies, and during his lifetime, his books were translated in over 20 languages. His stories have spawned 4 movies, 4 TV series, 11 TV specials, and a Broadway musical. And according to Oh, the Places You've Taken Us, RT's tribute to Dr. Seuss, and I'm paraphrasing here, but over 200 million of those copies have been sold worldwide across countries and continents. And then at age 87, he died from mouth cancer. And 5 of his books were actually published after his death, but they were still written by him. So now that you know about Dr. Seuss, I'm going to tell you about my favorite book, and this is probably one of my favorite books ever, The Cat in the Hat. So The Cat in the Hat was actually answering an ad. Well, not really an ad, but like an article in Life magazine, and also a book called Why Johnny Can't Read, both of which were criticizing the lack of interestingness and also just the poor way we teach reading in the United States. and there was a list of 250 words first graders should recognize. Dr. Seuss took up the challenge with those 250 words and wrote a book using only those words. He ended up using only 236 of them, but they were all words first graders should recognize. The reason it's the Cat in the Hat is because when he looked at the list, cat and hat were the first two words that rhymed. It took him about 18 months to write it, and it was actually, its anniversary is coming up because it was published on March 12th, 1957, and it's about two children that are home alone, and this directly parodies the Dick and Jane books, which were what was used to teach reading before the Cat in the Hat, the Dick and Jane primers. But so it's two children who are left home alone, and this cat comes into their house and causes a bunch of chaos and makes a big mess and cleans everything up right before their mother comes home. It's really fun. My second favorite book is The Lorax, and it's actually Dr. Seuss's favorite book because it talked about, oh my goodness, I forgot all my slides. Cat in the Hat. The Lorax. So The Lorax is Dr. Seuss's favorite book because it talks about environmental issues and economic issues without being boring. It was published in 1971, and it's the story about that little guy, the Lorax, who guards the Truffula forest, but a man named the Onceler cut down all the Truffula trees to make products, and soon the forest was depleted, the animals had to vacate, and everything was polluted and uninhabitable, which shows that if we don't take care of our planet and monitor our capitalism, bad things can happen. In a quote from In Retrospect, The Lorax, it captures the basics of why mismanagement and overexploitation of ecosystems are a bad idea in a way that children can understand. I'm going to hurry things up now. So in Horton Hears a Who, it's about an elephant who detects a speck of dust with who's on it from the other animals who are skeptical. And this is actually really interesting because during World War II, Dr. Seuss was very anti-Japanese and very pro-bombing of Japan, and this was his apology book. He dedicated it to his Japanese friend, incorporated elements of Japanese culture into the Who, such as the individualism that was rising in Japanese culture, and the fact that every Who needed to use its voice. And it also promoted that life matters even if you can't see the people, which is making up for, they couldn't see the Japanese, but their lives still mattered enough to not bomb them. So now I'll talk a little bit about the culture. And of Sneetches and Who's and the good Dr. Seuss, it was said that Dr. Seuss would probably be read 100 years from now, even though Hemingway and Faulkner and other really famous authors would probably be forgotten. And he's a crucial part of teaching reading to children and also morals. He was very, very political in his work. And lastly, it's very hard to find people, especially in America, that don't know The Cat in the Hat or The Grinch. And that's my favorite part about Dr. Seuss, is with few words and vibrant illustrations, he created iconic characters that everyone can recognize. And he's changed the face of how we teach reading. So thank you for listening to me talk about Dr. Seuss, and let's end it by looking at his iconic characters.